DC motors, right? DC motors we have started, and we talked about series motor as well as the shunt motor, right? And we studied the characteristics, like the terminal characteristics, speed versus armature current, and torque versus armature current, and torque speed characteristic. Then the speed regulation, all these things we discussed. And today we'll see the compound motors. Already we know the compound motors they're cumulative and differential compound motors. And from constructional features, it can be short shunt and long shunt, okay? So what structure you are seeing here, it is the short shunt compound motor, right? Where this is your starter, because I told you the starter is always common, it will remain always for every motor, right? So therefore starter part will be always there. Okay, so we are talking about compound motors, right? And this is what actually we can see. This is your field winding, right? Having NF number of turns, and here is your series winding, right? And this can be of cumulative type and differentially compound motor, right? Similarly, this structure you can see, this is your long shunt compound motor, right? Where the field winding actually, it is away from the armature. The shunt field winding is away from the armature winding, right? And the series field winding is near to the armature. And so these are the two structures based on the constructional feature, but cumulative and differential, it depends upon the flux. The series field, if the series field, that is KFIA, is actually aiding the shunt flux or shunt field, then we can say that it is cumulative. If it is opposing the shunt field or shunt flux, then we can say that it is differentially compound, right? So like here the equation we can see here, phi P is equal to phi SH plus minus KFIA. That means indicates both cumulative and differential characteristic, right? So plus indicates it is a cumulative motor, and minus indicates it is a differentially compound motor. Now if we write the torque equation, similar torque equation we know that is TD is equal to Ka phi P Ia. Just substituting phi P here in this equation, I will find this equation, right? That is Kia phi SH plus minus K Kf Ia square, right? Similarly, I can find the omega m equation from the KVL equation, right? So that is omega m is equal to Ea by Ka phi P. Okay. So phi P already we know that is phi SH plus minus Kf Ia, right? And Ea is nothing but, it's not,
We can see that.
this side.
Yeah.
Okay, now it is visible. Okay, so Ea will be Vs minus Ia Ra plus Rs, right? Okay. So then if we'll draw the torque versus armature current for a different cumulative compound motor, differential compound motor, and shunt motor. For shunt motor we know the flux is constant, so therefore the torque will be directly proportional to the current. So for shunt motor already we have seen yesterday, it is KIA, right? So therefore it looks like a straight line. if the armature reaction is there, so it will be little bit curved at the full load condition, right? But for cumulative compound, how it will look like, the torque and armature. So you can see from this equation, torque equation, right? So for cumulative, it is actually consisting of Ia square term, right? So therefore it will be little bit curved towards the square, right? Square term consisting of the Ia square, right? Because you are plotting this curve between the torque versus armature current, right? Similarly, your differential compound, for differential compound it will be minus of kf Ia square. So therefore it will be below the shunt motor characteristic, right? Okay, so now if we'll plot the speed versus torque, right? So it will, okay, speed versus armature current, it will look like this. Already I have shown this figure yesterday also in the last class, right? So this is your shunt, right? Shunt motor, and this will be your differential compound motor. This is for your cumulative compound motor, right? So differential compound motor, it is above the shunt motor because we can see here the flux equation here. As the armature current will increase, your flux will reduce in the cumulative in differential compound motor, right? As the flux will reduce, your speed will increase, right? So therefore it is increasing above the shunt motor, right? And similarly for cumulative compound, it will increase as compared to the shunt motor, therefore it will be below the shunt motor characteristic, right? So it is, I hope it is clear to all of you, right? There is no I hope you will draw some characteristic in your laboratory experiment also, right? Now we'll see the methods of the speed control for the motor, DC motor. As I told in the last class that DC motors are very special when we these applications are specially for the control application where we need to control the speed, control the position, right? So therefore the DC motors are very useful. Now the speed control, how we achieve in different ways. So there are two approaches. We can get the speed control in the DC motors. One is your armature resistance control, right? And other one is field control. Both of the experiments you are doing perhaps in your lab, right? So armature resistance control, you need to insert one resistance in the armature, or by varying the armature voltage, that means the supply voltage to the armature, you can also get the armature control, right? So here as it is mentioned armature resistance control, that means we are putting resistance in series with the armature. By that way we are controlling the current in the armature, and that will help us to achieve the speed control. So there are two methods. One is armature resistance control, or we can say armature control, and other one is your field control. So through armature control we can get the speed control below the rated speed. We cannot achieve the speed above the rated speed. But in case of field control, we can achieve the speed beyond the maximum speed or the rated speed. Already you might have seen those who have performed these experiments, right? So here we have a series motor, you can see here, right? So in the series motor, the field of course connected in series with armature. Therefore we have one resistance is put, we call it control resistance, which actually helps us to control the current through the field as well as armature, right? So by that way we can control the speed. Similarly, in case of shunt motor, we have the control resistance here in the armature circuit, right? Through which we achieve the current control in the armature circuit, right? And similarly for the compound motor as well, we get, right? So now if we write the equation for the speed, So this is already we know because this is EA divided by KA phi P, right? So EA is nothing but Vs minus IAR. So R is the net resistance in the armature circuit, right? And if it is a series motor, please switch off your phone. If it is a series motor, then your equivalent resistance will be RA plus RS plus RC, right? And also it is for compound motor, right? Similarly, for the shunt motor, it will be RA plus RC, where RC is the control resistance and here RS is the series resistance, right? Okay. So this is for the shunt motor, right? So now, in order to achieve the speed control through the armature resistance, we need to control this voltage, then we'll get the speed control easily, right? So we can control this by controlling this IA. As we increase the IA, what will happen? If your IA will be increased, then your omega will be decreasing, right? So that means then if your IA will decrease, your omega m will increase, right? Okay. So by this principle only we can do the control, right? So this is a speed torque characteristic for different control resistance in a series motor. Already we have seen this characteristic for series motor, right? And where the RC1 is less than RC2, less than RC3, as your control resistance value is increasing, it will be more closer towards the axis, okay? And similarly, this is the speed torque characteristic for shunt motor, where RC1, RC2 and RC3, they are the control resistances, and RC1 is less than RC2 and RC3. So RC3 is the highest value we have took here, therefore the slope is higher as compared to the other curves, right? RC2 and RC1. Similarly, this is for the compound motor. This is for cumulative compound motor, right? So speed torque characteristic. This is also for 3 different control resistances, right? Now if we'll see the field control method, in the field control method, in fact, we need to, already we have seen the equation. That equation says omega m is equal to Vs minus IAR divided by Ka phi P, right? Okay. Now in the field control method, if we can adjust this flux, okay, flux per pole, then we can easily achieve the control, right? So the relation here we see is that when the flux is decreasing, your omega m will increase, right? Okay. So therefore we'll get inverse relation here, and by that way, just keeping the IA constant, we can have a speed greater than the rated speed, right? If we'll adjust the flux in the field, we can get the speed higher than the rated speed. And particularly this field control method is used to get the control, speed control above beyond the rated speed. This is not used usually because when we connect the field across a source, so it is constant, right? Well, it is flowing the rated field current. Now if I'll insert a resistance here, right, control resistance, then the field current will decrease, right? It will be lesser than IF. So as the field current will decrease, your flux will decrease and the speed will increase. Therefore, under the condition where the control resistance is not there, that means without the control resistance, it gives the speed the rated speed, and as soon as we insert a register, then your speed becomes more than the rated speed. Therefore, only by this method, through the field control method, we achieve the speed above the rated speed, right? So therefore, if we want to control the speed above the rated speed, we use the field control method, right? Okay. It is not used specifically for the speed control below the rated speed. Okay. So now, this is all about your speed control approaches in the DC motor, and you will also have a practical flavor in your lab, right? You all will do these experiments. Then we will see the braking or reversing of DC motors. Okay. So what do we mean by braking? Braking of speed means, like we have seen in the trains also, in traction motors are used. In trains, they need to stop the speed, right? So whenever it wants to brake the speed, that means it brakes the motor speed. Right? So how it is possible? It is not possible only by the mechanical braking system. Because mechanical braking system is a huge traction system, it is difficult to control. We cannot control because there will be a lot of friction, lot of heat, and sometimes there will be braking also, right? Mechanical breakage also. So therefore, mechanical braking is not sufficient for making or stopping the motor, or huge traction motor, right? So therefore, braking of motors happens there are three methods from here. We can see here, one is plugging. So plugging means we need to reverse the connection of the armature circuit. Okay, that means as soon as the armature circuit is reversed, what will happen? The current will flow in the opposite direction, right? So therefore, the motor will start rotating in the reverse direction. So that by that way it will brake. First the speed will brake, then it will rotate in the reverse direction. And second one is your dynamic braking, where we use the resistors. So whatever back EMF is generated in the motor, it will supply. As soon as we want braking, we will stop the supply to the motor, and whatever it will generate the power through the back EMF, it will feed to the resistor, and by that way it will stop, right, gradually. And then third one is regenerative braking. We'll talk about that gradually. Regenerative braking means this is specially used where the motor is rotating above the rated speed. Okay. We know till the point the motor is rotating lesser than the rated speed, it is producing lesser, the back EMF is less than the supply voltage, right? As soon as it achieves the speed greater than the rated speed, it has a back EMF which is greater than the supply voltage. And therefore, this is specially used for the tractions where it is the traction system is accelerating very fast and the speed goes beyond the rated speed. Therefore, your back EMF will become greater than the supply voltage, and it will give the supply to the motor will feed to the supply system. Okay. So by that means it is regenerating the power and it is feeding to the supply. By that way also it helps to reduce its speed, right? So we'll see one by one. We can see here, this is your plugging picture where the plugging approach is used. So what we are seeing here, this is a shunt motor, shunt DC motor. This is your field circuit which is connected to a constant source, Vs, right? Okay. Now your armature circuit is connected at these 2 points. And there are 2 other points we have taken from this side which is connected with a resistor, and this side, right? Now the arrangement is made with a double pole double throw switch. Have you seen double pole double throw switch? Huh? In your lab you have not seen? Huh? It is very, you might have seen but you may not be knowing the name. Double pole double, those who have done synchronization experiment, have you done the synchronization experiment? So you might have seen the double pole double throw switch. When we synchronize, actually, which first nowadays I think the contactors are used. So that is also double pole double throw. We can say double pole means we have two poles here. We can see here, right? Two poles, right? And this is your switch. The arrow mark I am showing here. This is your switch. Now it will double throw means in a single in one throw it will open the circuit. Yes, not like MCB. MCB is direct single throw, you can say. It is a single throw. It is not double throw. Single throw means just on off single throw, right? But here what we are doing, we are opening the circuit in one throw. In the next throw we are closing again. Okay? That is called double throw switch. Okay? So here in one throw it will open the contact from these two contacts, right? And then it will close to here in the next throw, second throw. Okay? So that means here it breaks the contact in one throw, and in the next throw it will make contact with these 2 points. Okay? So that is double throw, double pole double throw switch, right? Now you can see here that this is your normal operation when the switch is under this condition, right? Now if the switch opens from here and it is connected to this position, right? Now what you are observing here? What you are observing, your armature circuit is reversely connected, right? Okay? But we need a resistor. Why we need a resistor? Because as soon as it breaks the circuit from its normal operation, again it is going to connect in the reverse way. So at that time also we need to control the current to the armature, because as soon as the voltage is, supply voltage will be connected to the armature, then there will be high current, right? So therefore this resistor will act as a starting resistor for the armature circuit, right? It will limit current to a particular value, right? So therefore it will, as soon as the circuit will close these contacts, these two contacts, then your current flow through this will reverse, right? If it is flowing in this direction, now it will become in this direction. So this is your normal way of, right? And when it is reversed, the current flow will become different, right? Okay? So now what will happen to your torque equation, we can see here. So already we know that torque equation is, your TD is K phi P omega m, right? Okay? And omega m is your, you can write directly that Vs minus IAR divided by K phi P, right? Okay? So now we can see here that phi P is, so if your current direction will reverse, it will become positive, right? Your omega m, Vs plus IARA, right? So if I'll substitute here this equation, it will become Vs plus IARA. It will be K phi IA, sorry. Yes, it is a mistake. K phi IA, okay? This is a mistake. Now if we'll reverse the direction of IA, so obviously your torque direction will be reversed, right? opposite direction, right? So therefore your speed also will break, right? And after some time it will start rotating in the reverse direction. So if you want to stop the rotation of the motor, we can stop the supply at the point where it starts rotating in the reverse direction, right? Okay. Similarly, this is for the series motor. You can see here. So for series motor, we can see the field circuit is here, right? We are not manipulating with the series field. We are only manipulating with the armature circuit here, right? So up to this point, the armature circuit is, and therefore here also we have a double pole, double throw switch, which will actually connect here to the armature circuit in order to reverse the armature current direction, right? Okay, similarly also we can do for the compound motor, right? Now, this is a circuit for your dynamic braking. So you can see this is a shunt motor where we can see this is a single pole double throw switch. Single pole double throw means it has a single pole connection, right? But it has two throw. One throw it will open the circuit here, and then in the next throw it will close here. Okay? Single pole double throw circuit, right? Single pole double throw switch. Okay? Now in this connection we are not connecting to the supply again. So here what we are doing, we are disconnecting the supply from the, this is your dynamic braking, okay? We are disconnecting the whole supply system and we are connecting it to the resistor. So what will happen in this case? So in the normal condition, your torque is, it is K 5P, sorry, this is IA, right? Okay. Now your EA is Vs minus IARA, right? Okay. So now if your switch is break here and it will be connecting to this point, now what will happen? Your Vs will become 0, right? Now your EA, through which it will actually supply current to this resistor, okay? So it will pass through this because this circuit is completely broke, right? Now the current will pass from, because this motor will act as a generator, now it will supply the current through this resistor, right? Now what will happen? Your current, as it is in the reverse direction, your torque will also, it will become in reverse direction. Gradually your motor will slow down, right? Because there is no external supply we have, so your motor will slow down, and at omega m is equal to 0, what will happen? So your EA will become 0, right? At omega m equal to 0. So therefore there is no scope of further movement of the motor. So the motor will not, it will stop actually moving, right? Okay. So this is your dynamic braking. Then we'll talk about your regenerative braking. So the regenerative braking, already I told, it is only useful for when the motor is accelerating. Like in the hilly area, when the traction motor is accelerating very fast, in that time it is essentially required. Okay. So this is also dynamic braking for series motor. Okay. You can see here how it is, the connection pattern is, right? So you can see here, this is your normal condition. Here we have many switches, right? Here, when during the dynamic braking, this N will come to here, to D, and here the N will come to this position, and this N will come to this D. Little complex, but it is useful for the series motor, right? Okay. Similar analysis you can do for the series motor as well as we do for the shunt motor, right? Okay, so regenerative braking already I told, and your DC motor is finished. We'll talk about your synchronous generator from next class onwards, from tomorrow. Okay, so synchronous generator, it is a AC generator in contrast to the DC generator what we have talked, right? So in case of DC generator, you have seen that the field is on the, where the field is on the rotor or starter. Huh? Field is on the starter or rotor? Starter. And armature is on the rotor. But here we'll see in synchronous generator just opposite. Okay. So we'll see how it works and how it produces the AC voltage, right? And we'll see in the next